Midi comes home and finds her husband going through her underwear like he is searching for evidence. She is shocked, furious, and completely confused. Before he can explain himself, she kicks him away and asks if he has been drinking again. But Yoo Man-soo is already running on alcohol, fear, and suspicion. So instead of backing down, he starts questioning her like a jealous investigator. Midi cannot believe what she is hearing. To prove she has nothing to hide, she takes off her underwear and throws it at him. After Man-soo checks it, Midi leans in and checks him too. All she smells on him is alcohol. With her face in her hands, she asks how he could even suspect her. But Man-soo is not acting this way because Midi has done anything wrong. He is acting this way because his life has been falling apart for more than a year. Before all of this, Yoo Man-soo was a production manager at Solar Paper, one of Korea's old paper companies. He had spent years in the industry and had built a stable, respectable life. He had a good income, a beautiful wife, 2 children, 2 large dogs, and a house with enough space for weekend barbecues and quiet family days. From the outside, Man-soo looked like the picture of a successful middle-class man. He worked hard, took pride in his craft, and believed that if he protected his job, he could protect everything else. Then the paper industry began to decline. Solar Paper was taken over by an American company, and the new management immediately started talking about efficiency, cost-cutting, and restructuring. As an older employee with deep ties to the factory, Man-soo wanted to speak up for the workers. He still believed the company had some loyalty left. But then, a coworker mentioned something that freezes him in place. Not long before the layoffs, Man-soo's family had received an eel from the company. At the time, he thought it was a gift. Now he realizes it was a warning. At Solar Paper, when a worker received an eel, it meant the company was preparing to cut him loose. Losing his job is too humiliating for Man-soo to admit, so he hides it from Miri at first. Every day, he pretends to go out as usual, while secretly searching for another position in the paper industry. But months pass, and nothing works. Eventually, Man-soo has no choice but to tell Miri the truth. He promises her that he will find another job within 3 months. 13 months later, he is still unemployed. The only work he can get is part-time labor at a supermarket, barely enough to slow the family's collapse. Their mortgage debt has grown to more than 10 million won, and if they cannot catch up within 3 months, the bank may take the house. Miri starts looking for ways to cut costs. She considers canceling their daughter's membership and other expenses. More painfully, she says they may have to sell the house and rent somewhere cheaper. For Man-soo, that house is not just property. It is his childhood, his family history, and the proof that he once rebuilt what his father lost. His father had been a successful pig farmer in the area, and the house belonged to the family. But after the family fortune collapsed, his father died by suicide, and the house was sold. Years later, after working his way back up, Man-soo finally bought the family home again. Now, after all that effort, he is facing the same humiliation. He may lose the house all over again. As the pressure builds, his toothache gets worse. The pain in his mouth becomes another reminder that everything in his life is rotting, and he cannot afford to fix it. His last hope is Moon Paper, a successful Korean paper company that is doing unusually well, while the rest of the industry struggles. If Man-soo can get in there, the family might survive. He goes to Moon Paper in person, trying to recommend himself directly. He is desperate enough to kneel, beg, and cry. But instead of sympathy, he receives humiliation. The man who humiliates him is Choi Son-chul, a line manager at Moon Paper. His title may not sound impressive, but Moon Paper is doing so well that even a line manager enjoys good pay and status. Son-chul is comfortable, confident, and popular enough that the company even uses him in promotional videos. Watching Son-chul speak proudly on camera makes Man-soo feel sick. At first, the thought is only a dark joke in his head. If Son-chul were gone, maybe I could take his place. But the more Man-soo thinks about it, the more the idea starts to feel possible. He picks a day, follows Son-chul, and finally finds an opportunity. Man-soo climbs onto a rooftop, lifts a potted plant, and prepares to drop it on Son-chul below. At the last second, Man-soo freezes. He raises the pot, lowers it, raises it again, and still cannot make himself do it. Then another problem occurs to him. Even if Son-chul dies, Man-soo might not automatically get the job. There will be other applicants, maybe stronger ones, waiting for the same opening. so Mansu buys the red pepper plant instead and turns his impulse into a plan. He creates a fake paper company called Red Pepper and pretends to be hiring. The goal is not to run a business. The goal is to collect resumes, study his competition, and decide who needs to disappear. Applications come in quickly. Mansu reviews them like a professional, comparing their backgrounds against what Moon Paper would want. Out of all the candidates, 2 people stand above him. The first is Gu Bum-mo. Bum-mo comes from a paper-making family. His uncle was part of Korea's first generation of paper workers, and Bum-mo entered the industry when he was young. He has deep experience, strong results, and a reputation that rivals Mansu's. Like Mansu, Bum-mo was once recognized as one of the best papermen in the field. That makes Bum-mo the strongest threat. Using the address on the resume, Mansu drives to Bum-mo's home in the mountains. The place is remote, which should make it a perfect target. But when Mansu notices a security camera nearby, he becomes cautious. While watching the house with binoculars, he sees an unknown man sneaking away. Mansu does not want to be seen, but as he tries to move, he nearly runs into Bum-mo on the mountain road. Panicked, Mansu takes out the gun he brought with him. The gun belonged to his father, a Vietnam War veteran. His father once left him with a brutal lesson from the battlefield. If you do not kill the other man first, the other man will kill you. That lesson now seems to describe Mansu's entire life. Either he replaces someone else, or someone else replaces him. He aims at Bum-mo and prepares to shoot, but a woman's voice interrupts him. Mansu hides and overhears Bum-mo talking with his wife, A-ra. The conversation unsettles him because Bum-mo sounds too much like him. Bum-mo is also middle-aged, unemployed, under pressure, and emotionally trapped. He loves the paper industry and refuses to let it go, even though his marriage is cracking under the strain. A-ra tells Bum-mo to give up his obsession and try something else, maybe even open a cafe. Bum-mo refuses. He talks as if paper is the only thing that gives his life meaning, then storms back toward the house while A-ra shouts after him. Mansu listens from the side, awkward and shaken. He is supposed to see Bum-mo as a target, but instead he sees another version of himself. Then, in the middle of hiding, Mansu is bitten by a snake. A-ra finds him and helps with emergency treatment. When Miri calls at the worst possible moment, Mansu is so nervous that he refuses to answer by video. After that frightening day, Mansu returns home in a daze. But he is not the kind of man who gives up once he is committed to a plan. The next day, he returns to Bum-mo's house and tries a different approach. He avoids the camera and prepares to strike indoors. But when he gets close, he sees something he was never meant to see. A-ra is having an affair with the mysterious man Mansu saw before. Bum-mo is not home, so Mansu starts to leave. But on the road, he sees Bum-mo driving back toward the house. In a strange twist, Mansu feels sorry for the man he came to kill. He knows that if Bum-mo goes inside now, he may discover A-ra's affair. So Mansu turns the car around and calls Bum-mo, pretending to be the hiring contact from Red Pepper. He tells Bum-mo the boss is very interested in him and wants to meet. Bum-mo is thrilled. For a man drowning in unemployment and shame, the call feels like rescue. He rushes inside to change clothes. Mansu watches anxiously through binoculars. A little later, Bum-mo comes back out looking crushed. He falls apart on the ground, and Mansu realizes that Bum-mo must have discovered the affair anyway. Mansu feels the blow personally, but sympathy does not stop the plan. On another day, he enters Bum-mo's home and points the gun at him. To Mansu's surprise, Bum-mo does not seem afraid. Instead, Bum-mo shouts that A-ra loves him. In that instant, Mansu understands the mistake. Bum-mo thinks Mansu is A-ra's lover. A-ra sees her chance. In the confusion, the gun drops and the situation flips. Mansu panics and runs. Behind him, a gunshot rings out. Mansu collapses in fear. A-ra, already resentful and now exposed, has chosen to remove her husband herself. Mansu escapes to his car, shaken by the fact that his planned murder has turned into someone else's crime. But he cannot leave the gun behind. Later, he returns to the scene. A-ra and her lover have already buried Bum-mo's body and the weapon. While they go back inside, Mansu retrieves the gun. That night, he remembers that Midi had invited him to a masquerade party. He speeds over, still rattled from what happened, only to find Midi dancing with a coworker. After seeing A-ra's affair, Mansu's paranoia explodes. He drives home, cold and suspicious. When Midi arrives, he asks if she has already been intimate with her coworker, then tries to check her underwear. That is the scene from the beginning. Miri kicks him away, smells the alcohol on him, and cannot understand what has happened to her husband. But Mansu has been twisted by unemployment, humiliation, and the secrets he is carrying. The worst part is that Miri is starting to distrust him too. Lately, Mansu keeps saying he is going to interviews, but his behavior looks stranger and stranger. From her point of view, it is possible that he is the one having an affair. Mansu wants to explain, but the truth is impossible to say. So he decides the only way to fix the family is to move faster. With Bummo gone, Mansu turns to the second major threat, Go Shizo. Shizo has a strong resume, years of experience, and work history in Japan. That makes him especially dangerous because Moon Paper is planning to expand into the Japanese market. Following the information on the resume, Mansu tracks Shizo to his current job. After losing his place in the paper industry, Shizo has become a shoe salesman. To support his family, he has swallowed his pride and started serving customers on the sales floor. When Mansu visits the shoe store to watch Go Shizo, he sees Shizo's daughter stop by. She wants to go out with her classmates, and Shizo quietly takes some cash from his wallet and gives it to her. While he is speaking to his daughter, the customer he was serving gets impatient and leaves. That small moment hits Mansu harder than he expects. Shizo is not just a name on a resume. He is another father trying to hold his family together. Mansu has a daughter too, and he knows exactly what that pressure feels like. For a moment, Mansu hesitates. As he starts to leave and clear his head, Shizo calls him back. Shizo treats him like a normal customer and tries to sell him a pair of copper shoes. He says the store closes at 7, but if Mansu wants to bring his daughter back after school, he can wait until 8. Shizo's kindness does not save him. Mansu does not arrive on time. Instead, he shows up late at night and parks the car partway along the road, making it look like he has broken down. When Shizo comes to help, he is being either genuinely kind, eager not to lose a customer, or both. To Mansu, the reason no longer matters. Mansu removes the dashcam and attacks Shizo. Then he drags the body into the trunk and leaves the scene as quickly as possible. The location was chosen carefully. It is near the sea, which Mansu believes will push the police toward the wrong explanation. But in the panic, he makes one serious mistake. He leaves behind a shell casing. Late the next night, Mansu brings the body to the greenhouse at home. He plans to use a chainsaw, but he cannot make himself go through with it. In the end, he ties the body up with wire, buries it in the greenhouse, and plants a tree above the spot to hide the disturbed ground. For a few days, it seems like the plan may have worked. Then the police arrive at his house. They show Mansu photos of 2 missing men and ask if he recognizes them. He denies knowing them. The officers explain that after Shizo disappeared, his wife reported him missing. The police later found his car on a coastal road, along with blood and the shell casing. They also found Shizo's phone. It was filled with missed calls from a paper company. That company told police that Shizo had ranked second in a job interview. The candidate they had originally planned to hire first was Gu Bum-mo, but they could not reach him either. Now, 2 paper industry men, both connected to the same interview, have disappeared. The police have also learned that Bummo and Shizo knew each other. Because the 2 disappearances may be tied to the same hiring process, the officers are visiting other interview candidates one by one. Mansu listens quietly, but inside, he is alarmed. The officers know more than he expected. The paper company they mention is the same company where Mansu had interviewed before. Bummo and Shizo were not just theoretical competitors from his fake red pepper screening. They were real candidates in the same job market, and the police are starting to see a pattern. Then the officers reveal another dangerous detail. The shell casing has helped them identify the type of gun. It is a rare North Korean-style weapon, not something commonly found in South Korea. If the police had come with a search warrant, Mansu would already be exposed. Miri quietly notices the danger too. She moves in front of the cabinet where the gun is hidden, as if trying to block the officers from looking too closely. After a simple conversation, the police leave and warn Mansu to be careful. Mansu smiles stiffly, but the warning has an ironic effect. His analysis of the candidates was right. The top 2 competitors for the other paper company job are gone. According to his own calculations, the next person likely likely to be hired is him. At this point, the killing could stop. But Man-soo does not want just any job. He wants moon paper. He wants the better salary, the safer company, and the position that can protect his house. That means one final obstacle remains: Choi Son-chul. Late at night, Son-chul finishes work and heads home. Man-soo suddenly appears, startling him. Instead of threatening him, Man-soo smiles and says he has been waiting all day. He claims that after their interview, he became Son-chul's loyal fan and only came because he wanted to talk with his idol. Son-chul enjoys the flattery. Soon, the two men are drinking together. As the alcohol flows, Son-chul opens up. On the surface, he has a good job and a new home, but his marriage is miserable. Since he moved into the new place, his wife has not visited even once. Work is no better. His boss keeps dumping several people's responsibilities onto him. Son-chul may look successful, but he is also exhausted, lonely, and trapped. Then Son-chul shows Man-soo a sample of the paper he manages. Man-soo examines it and gives a cold little smile. To him, this supposedly excellent product is garbage. As a man who spent his life taking paper seriously, Man-soo cannot stop himself from judging it. He suspects corruption in the supply chain and wonders how a production line manager like Son-chul can afford such a house. Fortunately for Man-soo, Son-chul is too drunk to take offense. While Man-soo is preparing to finish the last part of his plan, something terrible is happening at home. His son tells Miri that he saw his father carrying a bag into the greenhouse sometime earlier. He also saw him using a chainsaw afterward. Since that day, the boy has been having nightmares and cannot sleep well. Miri's heart drops. She checks the box where Man-soo keeps the old gun and realizes the real weapon is gone. In its place is only a fake model. A horrifying thought forms in her mind. Miri goes to the greenhouse and digs near the fruit trees Man-soo recently planted. There, she finds the buried bag. She now understands at least part of what her husband has done. Back at Son-chul's house, Man-soo is still drinking. At one point, he grabs pliers and yanks out the rotten tooth that has been torturing him for so long. Son-chul is impressed by the pain Man-soo can endure, and his mood rises even higher. By then, Son-chul is so drunk that he can barely function. Killing him would be easy. Just as Man-soo prepares to act, Miri calls. Man-soo lies and says he is interviewing with a friend. Miri does not expose him. Instead, speaking as his wife, she tells him in her own careful way that no matter what happens, she will stand with him. They are family, and the children are waiting for him to come home. Her words do not stop Man-soo. They make him even more determined. To him, this has all been for the family. He has already crossed too many lines to turn back now. Man-soo stages Son-chul's death so it will look like a drunken accident. He makes it appear that Son-chul drank heavily and choked in his own home. Then he arranges the scene and leaves. The final obstacle is gone. That night, Miri lies to their son. She tells him she checked the greenhouse and that his father had only buried a pig. According to Miri, Man-soo used the chainsaw to cut pork. Then the family ate roasted meat afterward. The lie is meant to protect the child, but Miri herself is terrified. She waits through the night, unable to relax. At dawn, Man-soo finally returns. He hugs Miri tightly and tells her it is over. And in a horrifying way, it is. Just as Man-soo planned, one employee and two potential competitors have disappeared. A position at Moon Paper opens up, and Man-soo becomes the obvious choice. The interview is no longer a real test. It is closer to a formality. The interviewers smile and explain the company's future development plan. Moon Paper has built a fully automated factory. The era of manual papermaking is ending, they tell him. This is the age of artificial intelligence and automated production. What they need from Man-soo is not just traditional skill. They need him to help push the new system forward. Once the system runs properly, the company will be able to lay off many more workers. After everything Man-soo has done to escape unemployment, he has arrived on the opposite side of the machine. He used to be the worker destroyed by restructuring. Now he is being asked to help make restructuring happen to others. But after all the fear, humiliation, and blood on his hands, Man-soo no longer has the courage to resist the direction of the world. He accepts the current because he is too desperate to stand against it. Even the police investigation turns in his favor. To cover up her own crime, Ara lies to the police. She says Byung-mo became depressed after losing his job and that his mental state was unstable. She also claims that before he disappeared, he took a gun with him. That detail fits too well. Byung-mo served in the Marine Corps, and the rare weapon gives the police police a story they can believe. Now the police suspect that Bum-mo killed Shizo and may still be hiding somewhere, waiting to attack others. They even warn Man-soo to be careful. Without ever speaking openly, Man-soo and Ara have created a silent alliance. Each person's lie protects the other person's crime. By autumn, Man-soo walks into Moon Paper's new factory. Everything is clean, precise, and automated. Machines move in perfect order. The work that once required human pride, skill, and years of experience now seems to continue without people at all. Man-soo fought desperately to win a place inside this system. He lied, hunted, buried evidence, and destroyed lives. In the end, he does get a position, but standing inside that automated factory, one question remains. How long can that position possibly last? No other choice turns one man's unemployment panic into a cold, dark story about a changing world. Man-soo believes he is killing for his family, his house, and his dignity. But by the end, the job he wins may only help eliminate more people like him. He survives the competition, but he does not defeat the system. He becomes part of it. That's all for today's movie recap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share. I'll see you in the next one.